represent the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised. Good afternoon and welcome to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts, Fred and Janet Cox, right here on Reality Radio 101. To contact us right now, send us an email. Our email address is liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. And now, right to your hosts of the Liquid Green Health Show, Fred and Janet Cox.
And yes, good afternoon. It is another Sunday. It's chilly, man. It's chilly. It's cold. It's not chilly. It's cold. I feel very cold. My window is open, and that cold wind is just pouring on me. I don't have a coat, but it's
we know
October.
we know you have lizard blood. You're always cold.
I'm always
We'll
cold.
probably ask our guests what to do about that.
I'm in the
later
wrong
today.
country. That's all it is. I need to go somewhere warm. Good afternoon, everyone. We are the Coxes. It's 5:30 p.m. It's Sunday afternoon. To all our listeners across Canada, United States, and around the world, we want to say thank you for allowing us into your space. Every Sunday at this time, we have a lot of fun. We have an exciting guest. We got a great topic, and we're going to let you know what it's all about a little later. This show will be rebroadcast on YouTube as well as help me, Spotify, right? Right after the broadcast. So we are here. I want you to call your friends, get on the phone, call your friends, because this topic that we're talking about is food for everyone. Okay. And, get your pens and papers, folks, because we have a lot of information we're going to be passing on to you. This is the Liquid Green Show. And today we are talking about, boy, oh boy, breasts, boobs, tits, chest, bust, bosom. All are names given to the upper part of the human torso, right? And because this is October, and October is known internationally as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and that's why, I'm wearing something pretty close to pink. I don't have a pink shirt, but, this is the closest thing I can find.
Work on it.
We'll work on that, okay? And let me just give you some little factoid here on why it is called October and why the ribbon October is called breast cancer and why the pink ribbon, how it came about. It's a young lady by the name of Alexandra Penny back in 1992. She was the editor-in-chief of Self magazine, and she wanted to put the magazine's second annual breast cancer awareness month issue on, bring it forward. And so she enlisted the big giants in the cosmetic field and, get them to market it right across New York City, and the rest is history. Thus,
what she did, she started with a pink ribbon.
Yeah.
And does it have to be tied in that certain way, or we don't know?
I don't know. That's just how it started, right? So, and that's the history of the pink ribbon.
Do you know the history of the yellow ribbon? Tie the yellow ribbon?
Except for the song, no.
That has to do with the war, right? But anyway, that's for another show.
We're not talking about wars today, but this is the time.
There's so many wars going on in the world.
A lot of killing is going on, but we're talking about maintaining your health today. This is a time when we want to put the focus on confronting a condition that affects not only those assigned female at birth, but everyone, every human that has breast tissue.
As a matter of fact, I think it's 99% of women. The incidence of cancer, 99% women. And yes, men do get it, but only 1%.
A very small percentage.
Okay.
Very small percentage. Now, the whole thing has to do with cancer. And that is in my opinion, that is the most terrifying noun in the English language.
Right. When they tell you have
the big C word, panic, people run for cover, they run to doctors, they run to health professionals, they go all over the place. They just get into a psychological frenzy.
Yes.
And so today, hopefully, we can allay some of those fears by passing on information that hopefully, our listeners will
not think of it as a death sentence, right?
And that's really what happened. When people are diagnosed with cancer, automatically that fear that, oh, my life is going to end shortly. Right. And it really shouldn't be that way. It is just a Okay, we're back on, folks. If you weren't hearing us, we just had a technical glitch.
Okay, and I think Fred and Janet are back.
Yes, we're back on. I don't know. It's technology.
It's okay. You are recording this, and you're probably recording it to your computer, which took a lot of bandwidth.
Okay. Folks, we're back on. And as I was saying, we were talking about the fear that the word cancer puts into people. And automatically, most people, when they're diagnosed with cancer, automatically thinks it's a death sentence.
Yes.
And that really shouldn't be. So today, we're going to be talking with our guest. But before I get to our guest, I think did you mention this? The statistics worldwide? No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Worldwide, it's about 2.3 million women that are diagnosed with breast cancer.
That was in 2020. I think it's up to about 4 million in the US alone.
Is it that much?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And cancer, I think, is the #1 diagnosed disease, worldwide.
Yes.
And here, 1 in 8 women will probably succumb in their lifetime to cancer. But I really want to get to bringing in our guests. So are you done?
So let's move on to bringing in our guests. So today, folks, we're having a conversation with a wonderful individual, Innocent.aki.
Yes.
And I'll let you do the introduction.
Okay, Innocent, we've only known about you less than 2 weeks because we actually listened to you on a presentation that you did for the African Union 6th Region US. And when we heard you talk, because it is Breast Cancer Month, and you're one of those people during this time, you're so sought after because of the knowledge that you bring and because of the help that you have been able to help people, not just with diagnosis. I think we're going to let you talk about what you do. But when you sent us that bio, I just want to go through a little bit of it. And as I was saying before the show started to our producer, this guy could easily be the prime minister. At least he could be the WHO, head of WHO right now, right? But in a sense, you have come from a background. You're multilingual trained, you're German trained technologist. You have extensive experience.
Yeah, sure.
Right? And
yes.
You've been over 2 decades working in multiple industries in over 45 countries. That is awesome. And now I mean, it's going to take us the whole show to go through everything. So now I'm just going to say you're the lead scientist and you're the founder of ResDav Limited. And
absolutely.
Right? And
yes,
because you're so interested in wholesome health, in leveraging the world, in teaching the world the mysteries of the health benefits that Africa, this continent that is so sought after for all its resources. We know about the cobalt and the lithium and the gold and the uranium and the rubber and cocoa and everything else. But one of the things that we don't hear much about, we always hear about Chinese medicine, right? We hear about those. Okay. But you have now working in the area where the natural traditional medicine in Africa, you're now with the, PMI, the Certified Project Manager, with management professional. You've been to Harvard and you're now working with the Nigerian government. So that's a mouthful. How do you switch from technology into health?
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Let me say hi to everyone connected.
Great.
Now, the thing is, the subject of health is something that I'm very passionate about. And I'll tell you, I started picking a lot of interest in this when my uncle wanted to hand over the knowledge of herbs to me. My grandfather was doing herbs in the 1930s and in the 1940s. My uncle grew up with him, picked up the knowledge, and he went to British Columbia in the US, studied pharmacy, and he was practicing. When he turned 80, about 10 years ago, he called me to come over to Houston. And he was like, look, I'm 80 now, I can go anytime. So I don't want to die with the family secrets. Okay. So he passed on all of the family knowledge to me. Before then, I was already treating people though. But what really made me decide to go deeply into this, my cousin, he was living in Florida, very, very close cousin of mine. He got sick with kidney disease. And this is something that I could treat, but I wasn't really so serious about it. By some stroke of fate, some medical error, he died. I think they didn't patch him up well when he went for dialysis. So he bled while he was sleeping and he couldn't make it. When they brought his body down to Nigeria for burial, from that burial, there was no turning back for me. I just started going full time, thinking of going full time into this. Now, the scourge of breast cancer in Africa is taking a new turn. A few years ago, to get anybody with cancer, we have to really search for a long time, but now it's everywhere. There's new cases every day. And so for me, it is something worthwhile to really deal with this issue, go to the root of this and deal with it. So that's my passion.
As a matter of fact, Frederick, you were showing me statistics today where it says Africa now has the largest amount of breast cancer cases.
Yes.
Have you heard that, Innocent? Is that true?
Places like Egypt, Nigeria, Morocco, and a few other African countries, they're at the top of the list for countries around the world that have very high cases of breast cancer.
Wow. I haven't seen that, but it's obvious because every other day there is a case. So and it's growing.
Based on that information, and I mean, I just pulled that up today, why is it so prevalent? Why is it breast cancer so prevalent among Black women?
Okay, the way I see it now, if we look closely at what we eat, our exposure in recent years have changed. Let me just go even to the rural areas in Africa. When they cultivate their food, they would weed the grass. They remove the weeds manually in the years past. But these days, everybody is now using herbicides to spray and kill the weeds. So the plants are picking up these herbicides, these organophosphates, and these are getting into the body, disrupting the hormonal system. And because of that, the cases are now spiking. Now, if your hormonal system is disturbed and you don't address it, basically the body is confused. And so things can happen. And if I may even go a little bit further, there are 6 pillars to health. They're like a chain, right? If any of those 6 is broken because of endocrine disruptors, then you become more susceptible. And that is what is actually happening. People are changing their food. People are interacting with chemicals they shouldn't interact with. The foods are now poisonous.
Right.
And people are using cosmetics that they weren't using in years past. So the exposure is there. That's really where it's coming from.
Right. And that's not only a problem in Africa among the Black population. That's a problem with most women, all women, as a matter of fact, because we still have the same problem here. The foods are highly processed. lots of sugar, lots of chemicals to make the food last longer on the shelf. The cosmetics that women are using are heavily toxic. So all of those things are getting into the system, and over a period of time, it does cause damage. No matter how they market it, no matter how they claim that these things are purer than 10, 15 years ago, it still has some kind of heavy toxic processing that goes on.
But when it comes to for women now, let's zone in on the cancer, the breast cancer for women. Because what should women do? How do you know? What's the first sign that you think that women go through when they discover, oh my God, I wonder, just before they figure they should go to their doctor? What are the signs that we should be looking for? Because I know we talk about self-examination. That again, innocent. When we're doing the research, two schools of thought. Some people say, oh, self-examination clinically doesn't prove very much. But then some people say, make sure you call your friend every month on the 10th. You have the buddy system. Call your friend to make sure, you do the self-check and you do it as well. What's your feeling on that? And what should we really be doing in terms of trying to find out? Are we, and then we'll talk about some of the factors, the risk factors.
Okay, I think you've just raised a very interesting subject. Now, cancer is not some alien thing that comes into the body, right? Any cancer itself, breast cancer, whatever kind of cancer, is actually normal cells that have suffered some kind of micro injuries. Now, what kind of micro injuries would cause cancer? When the mitochondria in the cell is damaged, then that cancer loses control. It becomes immortal. It doesn't die anymore. The cell begins to grow abnormally and all of that. The important thing to note is this. If a cell is injured, the body has the choice to kill that cell or fix it. But if for whatever reason, the nutrients and all the ingredients necessary to make the body kill that cell is not available at that time, and the cell survives and it begins to multiply, divide and double. From 2, it goes to 4, 4 to 8, and it keeps going like that. It takes some time before it becomes tumor. Now, coming to self-evaluation, before you can feel anything in the breast, it has to be at least 2 centimeters before you can even feel it. And before those cancer cells become 2 centimeters, that can take about any time from between 6 to 40 years. So it's been there coming long before you can feel anything. Even the mammograms that they do, before a mammogram can pick anything, it has to be about 1 cm because the X-ray plates have to see something. And before that mammogram can see anything, it's been coming for minimum 6 to 10 years.
Yes.
Because the cells have been dividing. Before they get that critical mass to see anything, there are at least half a billion cells already, cancer cells. So the disease is already established as at the time you're now seeing it on mammogram, or by the time you're feeling it, it's fully established.
Okay.
Now,
sorry, go ahead.
Now, so the main thing is this: in trying to prevent or dealing with breast cancer, the solution should be to prevent it from occurring.
Correct.
Not in trying to identify that it is there. Yeah. Mammograms don't treat cancer. They don't prevent cancer. They only announce the presence of cancer.
That's right.
Now, if you say you want to feel it, you only just trying to announce the presence. The main thing is to make sure that you go back in time before this thing comes, 5 years before, 6 years before, and make sure that it never happens. In other words, the inside of every damaged cell that is in the breast is a future tumor, a future cancer, depending on the prevailing conditions that cell experiences. Yes. If you change the prevailing conditions in the body, when you know that is happening, that cancer will either get stunted and just disappear off, or it might just be silent, hiding for the rest of the person's life.
Correct.
So how do you now, what tools can you use to identify potential issues way before it comes up? 5 years before, you can use thermograms. Thermograms are like specialized infrared cameras. By just taking pictures of the breast, you will be able to see energy patches, because cancerous cells, they consume more energy, glucose, than regular cells. So you can see the patterns. And you can also see how the blood vessels are forming from thermograms. When you see this and you are able to identify these patterns that would lead to cancer, then you can take action immediately to change the prevailing conditions and reverse the situation, so the cancer never happens.
Okay.
Let me stop there and let you.
This show is for you, yeah. Right? So people don't want to hear me; they want to hear you. But a question: when you say the thermogram, is a mammogram a thermogram, or is that something different?
Now, mammogram is, you have two plates and there's X-ray there between
I've done them.
Yeah. you put the breast in there, and then they're sending X-ray through to see if there's anything blocking the X-ray. If there's some cancer tumor, it will block and will show patches. Now, there's a problem with that. For every time you do a mammogram, you've just increased your risk of breast cancer by 1%.
Oh my God, I've heard that. So it's
wow. That's the case. Then why is it that the medical profession is telling you that you have to do it? Why is the government sending you
once every 2 years? Yeah. You know, and a question for you: there are women that have big breasts, and then there are women that have small breasts. I went for a mammogram. I wish we had had you on 2 weeks ago, because I just had one, and it hasn't been, I have not had one for the last 4 years, right? But with this, I fall in the category of small-breasted women. And I tell you, that the technician, when I tell this story, I asked her, who is it better for, small breasts or big breasts? Which is easier? She says, oh, bigger breasts are easier. She had to push me into that machine and drag my breasts, right, to get it. I said, listen, I just jumped out of a plane, and it was easier. It was less scary than doing the mammogram. I'm never doing another one. Or is that good advice, never to do anymore, or what else? No.
Now, why they do that is they want to try to fit it in between the plates.
Yes.
So the X-ray can go through. The problem is the ionization of the X-ray. That's where the risk goes up. But beyond that, the pressure that they put, which is about, say, at least 40 pounds, they press it. That can, if there's actually some kind of cancer capsule inside, that can actually bust it, crush it, and then it escapes into the surrounding and begin to go around. Because the science says that from 20 pounds, 22 pounds, if you press beyond that, you can actually bust the capsule, and the material escape around and begin to proliferate. So the risk is, one, in the X-ray itself, and then in the pressure itself. So there's the two risk factors. Now, but thermograms, these are not like that. The thermograms, the person is just standing, you're taking some sensitive infrared camera to take pictures, and the infrared pictures will be able to sense the heat emanating from the body. And if there are any cancer cells, they will produce more heat than the normal cells. So if you've noticed that, then you zoom more and begin to really look at how the blood vessels there are manipulating, they're forming. If you now apply like some temperature change, like you blow hot, cold air in, you will see that normal blood vessels will shrink. But the blood vessels feeding cancers, they are not well developed. They wouldn't shrink. they will just stay the same. That way you can identify, okay, this thing is forming, and then you can decide how to reverse it. And that's where herbs and supplements now come in.
Okay. Now, when do they use the MRI and the ultrasound and those other more advanced devices to find out this, the condition?
Okay, now MRI, all those ones, they are more like confirmatory tests.
Mm-hmm.
There are symptoms and there's suspicion that there is cancer there, and they want to confirm that there is cancer. But this is not some kind of preventive. No, it's not.
No, right.
The one of thermogram can actually confirm, but it can also predict. Even 5 years before the cancer comes, you can see these patterns. If you're very experienced with that, you can understand and actually reverse things. And when you reverse it, which might take any time from 3 months to 6 months, when you check again, you will see that the patterns are now back to normal and the person have no risk, basically.
So if somebody has been, now you've done the tests, you've done your self-exam, you've gone to the doctor, it's confirmed, you've done your mammogram or you whatever, you now confirmed you have breast cancer. What's step 2?
Okay, now I would say this. Everything that has to do with your health depends on the prevailing conditions. That's a profound principle for Afroceutical medicine, the one I practice. Now, the same water.
Afroceutical, I love it.
Afroceutical, yeah, thank you. Now, the same water that you drink, for instance, if you take that water and you put it in the freezer, it becomes rock hard. Yes. You can actually break your head with that. If you take that same water, you put it in the pot and you heat it, it becomes gas. It escapes into the atmosphere. It is solid, liquid, gaseous, depending on the temperature conditions. Now, how you deal with cancer depends on the prevailing conditions in the body. Okay. I'm going to come to this again, a different way. If you take any seed, let's say citrus seed, and you put it on top of your table, you leave it there for 5 years, you're going to come back, meet it there, dried up or anything. But if you take that same seed, put it in outside in a fertile ground and water it, before you know it, you have a tree coming out of that. Yeah. And that tree can become a forest when it produces more fruits. Correct. Inside that seed is a forest, but depending on the prevailing conditions. On top of the table is dead, but on the fertile ground, it grows. When a cancer is discovered, the prevailing conditions in the body will either make it flourish or get stunted. Yes. And looking at the prevailing conditions, altering the prevailing conditions to make sure that the disease does not flourish, for me, is the first step before the treatment to actually take out the cancer. And taking out the cancer, you can use various methods. There are different ways to kill the cancer. You can actually use epigenetics to reverse the cancer cell to begin to behave like normal cells. Correct. And then they will die off. There are many ways to go around that.
That's one of the most recent discoveries, the whole thing about, because so many people believe, we'll talk about the risk factors like your age, your sex, your background, your activity level, all of those things, your intake of sugar, your nutrition, do you sleep, do you exercise? All those things we know, the lifestyle things. But in terms of the epigenetics, I think that it's relatively new research. But you don't, if your mom, because what they say is, if your mom had cancer and probably a sister or something, chances are, they tell you, you might more likely, you and your children, and it's hereditary and you could end up with cancer. But what you're saying is that because of the epigenetics, you can reverse or you can change things. You don't have to accept this as a sentence that because my
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You're not a sitting duck. Even if the entire family died of cancer, you're not a sitting duck. Let me just give you a little bit of talk more around this. Now, I don't know if you've studied the bees, the honey bees. There's the queen bee, there's the worker bee, there's the nurse bee. Now, the queen bee lives for like 3 years, right?
Yeah.
It produces like 2,000 eggs every day, right? The worker bee lives for just 3 weeks and is functionally sterile. It doesn't produce any eggs.
Right.
Now, when the queen in the hive begins to fall sick or is dying, what happens? The nurse bee will just pick any larva, right? It picks any larva, and then there's a special food, they call it royal jelly,
right,
that they feed that larva. Yes. Once they feed that larva that royal jelly, what the enzymes that have been suppressing the royal genes will be turned off, and the royal gene is expressed and a new queen is born.
Correct.
Same DNA, same larva, but what it ate, what it received, changed the expression of DNA, and it becomes a queen. Now it's living for 2-3 years, and not like the worker that's living for 3 weeks. Now it's producing 2,000 eggs. So the same way, if you know how to use phytochemicals to turn off certain genes and put on certain things, then you can resolve all of that risk. So it's not a sitting duck thing. The prevailing conditions will dictate what will happen. That's really what it is.
Now, you mentioned phytochemicals, food. Is that the #1 thing that we should be talking about when it comes to prevention of cancer? I know about sugar, #1. Like everything you listen to here, you know, we know sugar is the enemy. But is nutrition the #1 thing in prevention of breast cancer and basically so many of the other diseases? Where do you stand on that?
Now let me look at it from this perspective. Now, there are 6 pillars that hold your health, right? And these revolve around nutrition some way. And if I may just even say something else as well before I come back to that. Every disease is happening because some cell is sick. And the cell is sick, however you look at it from every perspective, because of 2 critical factors. #1, the cell is either deficient in something that it needs, and so it cannot function, or it has some toxins that is now disturbing it. Toxicity, deficiency. So when you remove the toxicity from the cell and provide for the insufficiency of what it needs, the cell becomes normal and begins to function. So, in other words, the ability of the body to detoxify itself is very important. And then the nutrients, which I'm going to go into now, the nutrition becomes also very important. Let me just say a little bit about the detoxification before I come back to the nutrition. When it comes to detoxification, your main organs for detoxification are the liver and the kidneys. Now, because the toxins in our polluted world is coming so much in torrents, these organs are not able to meet up completely to take this thing. So they need some help. So they need to detox. Toxins are piling up, need to go out. That's one. But coming back to the nutrition, that as you mentioned, there are 6 pillars of nutrients and nutrition that sustain a healthy body. #1, proteins. Of the proteins in the body, because without proteins in the body, you can't really function. There are 22 amino acids that the body uses to build all proteins. Yeah. And of these 22, 14 are made by the body. 8 are essential ones that you have to bring in from food. So essentially, if you have 14, But out of those 8, for whatever reason you're not bringing that in, the body begins to suffer. Maybe some hormone or enzyme that's supposed to fight off cancer is supposed to be produced, but the ingredient to produce it is not there. So it's not produced. The cancer begins to go on and accelerate. You understand? Now, maybe some genetic thing that's supposed to turn off the tumor factor is supposed to be produced. The body does not have that protein, then it's not produced. So proteins, that's number one. Second one is enzymes. Enzymes are like chemicals that they are like catalysts.
Right.
Every time, as we're talking now, there are about 2 million biochemical processes going on in your body. And these ones need enzymes. In every cell, you have about 1,000 enzymes. If you don't have these enzymes, what is going to happen? Those chemical reactions that are meant to help the body will not happen. Maybe detoxification that's supposed to happen will not happen. And so things begin to pile up. Then from enzymes, you go into things like the lipids, like cholesterol. Now, these fats are necessary to build hormones because from these fats, cholesterol, you're building pregnenolone, you're building estrogen and all that. For people that interrupt the lipids in their body, for instance, any woman that takes statins to control cholesterol, even if it's just for 4 years, have doubled her risk of cancer. That's what the studies say. You know, so we've talked about proteins, we've talked about enzymes, we've talked about lipids. Then you also talked about minerals, essential minerals, which are like triggers to catalysts. And then you talk of carbohydrates. And the last one is escaping me now. The last one, I'll remember that. Okay. But these 6 are essential to have a functional body that can withstand any kind of stress and enemy. If these chains are broken, then the body is susceptible.
Yes, because last week on our show, we were talking about fasting, yes. Intermittent fasting. Yeah. And we know that's one of the things that's real good. And what we realize, and we say this in a health show, we say what the body needs is a chance. Nobody knows better how to deal with the body and repair the body than the body itself. Because it's such a machinery. So when it comes to immunotherapy, that's one of the things I don't understand very well. And I know that's one of the things they use to treat. We're going to talk about some of the treatment methods that you have been using through Afronutricals. But we know about, you know, the first thing they do is they do a lumpectomy or whatever, where they take out the lump, or they can do the mastectomy. And I know somebody like Jolie, what's her name?
Angela Jolie.
Angela Jolie. Yeah. I heard, I don't know if it's true, that she had a double breast
yeah, it's true. It's published. Yeah. True.
Because of the propensity of her getting cancer because of the family history, right? Yeah. But I lost my train of thought. What was I coming? I forget. Oh, I was talking about the immunotherapy. So could you explain that as one of the treatment options? Because we don't have to rush. You don't have to rush and cut off your breast because you have a diagnosis, right?
The thing is this, cutting off the breast is not the answer.
Right, okay.
There are risks, but like I said, the prevailing conditions, the environmental conditions, you subject the body to determines the outcome.
But do the doctors really?
Just like I said, the seed that you have, the citrus seed you have on your table.
Yeah.
You don't need a magician to tell you that it's never going to become a tree. Right. If you leave it on your table, because the conditions will not let it.
It's not favorable.
So even if you have the risk, it's a matter of manipulating and knowing what to do. Like Sun Tzu would say, know thyself, know thine enemy, 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories.
Yes.
If you know the enemy and you know how to stop the enemy completely, it's not a problem.
So
So
what's
immunotherapy, if I go to immunotherapy, what they're trying to do in immunotherapy is because when cancer happens, it's like a wolf hiding in sheep clothing. The immune system is not able to see it. It sees all of it, everyone as sheep. But the guy is there killing the sheep, but hiding in sheep clothing. Now, with immunotherapy, you're just basically reprogramming the immune system to say, no, this one is the wolf, it's not this one. So you're basically unmasking the cloaking that the cancer is using to hide itself. So the immune system now identifies it and then kills it. Now, another way to go about it is this. So immunotherapy can be any form, but one way to also do this is if you have some cancer that is developing, some tumor, you can bring in a pathogen. For instance, the pathogen that likes to eat cancer cells, but it causes another disease. But when you bring it in, when it starts attacking the cancer cell to try to eat it, the body now sees that, wow, this is not normal cell. And then the body begins to attack both of them. So there are different ways to go around it, but immunotherapy is basically unmasking the cancer so that the body can identify it and kill it. That's it.
So is it a better treatment than, say, somebody rushing out to get chemotherapy or surgery? In the scheme of things, you know what? I know already we're going to run out of time.
Yes.
So we're going to tell our viewers, Innocent, if you're able to come back next week or another week, this show, we're going to have probably 2 or 3 parts, because it's no point just rushing through it because we're limited by an hour. You're our guest. You're fantastic. I'm sure we're going to go to the emails in a minute. People are learning. That's what they do. They like our show because we break it down. We make it simple. We bring on people like you that can just talk in layman's terms. So it's already 6:12. We're not going to get through everything we need to get through in 50 minutes. Not possible.
And also, we want to talk about some of the products that he uses.
Yes, we want to talk about some of the products you use. So there is, with your permission, I'm going to ask you on air so you can't say no. But will you come back another time?
Always a pleasure. If it's going to help the listeners, why not? That's why we're in it.
So, Frederick, do you want to check some emails?
Yeah, let me just take some time here and let me see if we have any email. We have one here from
Olivia.
Yeah, Olivia. She's asking, "Hey Janet, are you in the house today, or is she going off?" No, we're not gonna. This is a continuation. They're just hooked up.
I did the skydiving in September, and I think I did the polar dip in January, and we're still getting emails about it.
Yeah.
You know?
She's going over Niagara
No,
Falls.
that was very courageous to do skydiving. That's good.
Yeah, next time you can join us. Frederick is gonna come.
Here's one from Ken, and Ken says, "Thank you for the history of the pink ribbon. I didn't know. Thanks."
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, thank you for that. And Monica said, "Janet and Fred, this is an excellent guest today. Learning a lot of things here."
Okay.
So that's the kind of email that we keep getting. And Gail says, "Love the liquid green." And she sends an image of a pink ribbon.
Yeah. We love Gail. We love liquid green as well, because listen, you heard what I almost said, doctor. You know, Innocent,
I think we better
you're
start
not
calling
a
you
doctor, but
right?
I just feel it just comes out naturally.
Yeah.
You know, but who was that from? Monica, who was that email from?
Let me just go back.
But anyway, she's talking of liquid green. You don't even know this about us, but our company, we do natural cleaners. So you talk about the environmental cleaners and the toxicity from some of the products we use, the plastics, the whatever. So when she gives us a shout out about liquid green, that is how we actually got started with doing the Liquid Green Health Show.
Yeah.
right? So every time somebody mentions that, we should do a bell or something.
I gotta get a bell.
Right?
Yeah, right. So
Okay.
There's one from Chris, and Chris says, "Ouch, Janet, the mammogram sounds painful.
Yes.
Maybe shoot out of a cannon next year instead."
They're giving these ideas. One of these days, I'm going to take them up on it, right?
Yeah. And that's a thought of the day, and that's an image. I don't know what that image is saying.
Still skydiving, right?
Yeah. But let me just reintroduce our guest today. Today, folks, if you joined us for the first time, or you joined us late, we're talking to a very, very qualified, highly qualified individual who I hate to not call him a doctor. But maybe we will just, put that in our writing here, put asterisks to it, right? But he's highly qualified in the field of nutrition for the human body. As a matter of fact, he looks at it from, and he gives it a unique name, Afro Nutrition.
Afroceutical.
Oh, Afroceuticals.
As opposed to pharmaceutical.
Right. He's the founder and lead scientist at Redsav Limited. Redsav Limited, that is a company whose goal is to bring wholesome health to the world using the wisdom of African traditional medicine that is backed by modern science. And so we have him here today that we're talking about, because it's breast cancer, we're talking about breast cancer as well as what can be done to alleviate this condition. Okay. Right. And
I think we're just at the point when we were talking about the radiation and chemo, and how devastating that is, because they don't, you just talked about the differentiation with the different cells, right? And what do you say to people when the doctor says
you have to take the chemo or it's not going to help?
And they just listen to the doctor, and they don't want to, they're so tunnel vision because they don't think there's anything else that can help.
Because fear steps in.
Right. The reality is you have to be in the driver's seat when it comes to your health.
Yeah.
Now, the doctor does not suffer the risk of his own life. It is your life that is at stake. So you really have to look at things dispassionately and really get as much information as possible and take the most appropriate decision for your own self. Now, when you talk about chemotherapy, what is really chemotherapy? The cancer cell is very greedy, right? And it's very wasteful. If a normal cell takes one glucose molecule, it makes like 36 energy molecules out of it. But the same one cancer cell will take it and make only 4. So it's like 90% wasted. So it's burning a lot of energy, and that's why the people lose a lot of weight very quickly, because the cancer is just hijacking everything. The idea of chemotherapy is basically to bring in poison into the body. And because the cancer cell is the most greedy one, it's eating a lot of the poison, with the hope that the dose is in the poison. When it eats enough poison, then it begins to die faster than the regular cell. But in the end, both of them are getting the poison. Okay. So you end up seeing situations where people's bodies are fried from chemo. You see black spots on their palm, under their foot, and all of that. Yeah. Those are visible scars. What about the invisible ones? If it is frying the hands, is it possible it's frying the liver? Is it possible it's frying the cardiovascular system? Is it possible it's also frying even the brain? So when certain functions in the body begin to depreciate very quickly after chemo, it is not the cancer, it is the treatment. So sometimes the treatment will kill the patient faster than the cancer itself.
Yes.
So for me, it is always go for the most humane kind of treatment. If there is a way to turn off the genes that are allowing that to proliferate, and then the cancer is stunted and dies off using herbs, I will go for that. As long as the science proves it and the medical practitioner is able to explain to me how if it does not understand the prevailing conditions in my body, I would be doubtful. Because everybody, just as our fingerprints are different, everybody has its own profile. The amount of toxins you've been exposed to, all kinds of genetic makeup, the practitioner have to look at that, tailored medicine to the specific person, and be able to deal with it. And that way you can get people well. For me, I wouldn't take chemotherapy. If it is a tumor that is monolithic, that have not spread, which often is not the case, you can remove it by surgery and try to use chemo to take care of it. But if it is metastatic already, in fact, chemo is useless because you can't handle that. And beyond that, and that's where the problem is. You see a lot of people, they get treatment, they go home, they say they are cancer-free, and within 5 years, the thing comes back very aggressively and kills them. Chemo is actually not dealing with the cancer stem cells, but rather aggravating them. And it's just like you kill all the snakes, but their eggs are hiding somewhere. And by the time they hatch and they come out, the body have a history of how the previous ones were killed. So they have that history and they come out very aggressive and take the person out. That cannot happen with natural treatment that actually selects the cancer cell, selects the stem cells and eliminate them. So I am an advocate for more humane treatment, natural treatment. But herbs, they're like a two-edged sword. They can help or kill based on knowledge. You need to really know herbs for them to work for you. I can tell you, for instance, yes, go ahead, please. I wanted to ask something.
Yeah, in the interest of time, Innocent, I know that there's a lot to discover, but we want to give you an opportunity to tell us about some of the products that you have that you would recommend to help somebody to,
Frederick, I'm gonna disagree with you right now, because if Innocent is willing to come back, I don't want to just give him 8 minutes. It's not going to be beneficial to give 8 minutes.
Okay.
You have at least 17 products.
No. I just want specific products.
I'm just going to talk about only one. I think since the time is short. Now, when I did say that cancer goes through like 5, 6, 10 years, 20 years multiplying before it comes out. At that time, when it's a micro tumor, we've developed a product that can actually dissolve and destroy the micro tumors before they manifest. And that product is RECNA, 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 and it's on herbsofafrica.com.
Okay.
That product, if I were a woman, what I would do is every quarter, 1 month, I will use that as a prophylactic, just to prevent. So if there are cancer tumors that are very small, microscopic, that are existing, I just take them out so I don't even suffer the risk of them growing up. That is the product I would just talk about.
So it's a preemptive strike, basically.
Yes.
So, question for you then. This is something you would take before you're diagnosed with cancer, or after you've been diagnosed, you've had some treatment and you're in the remission stage? Because as you just said, some people can be in remission for 5 years. Some women are in remission 20 years. And then it comes back and it's even sometimes more aggressive, right? So this product you mentioned, and you know what, before we run out completely of time, give us the links where people can actually go and look up the product that you're talking about.
Okay, the links are herbs, HERBS of Africa, one word, .com.
Okay.
That's herbsofafrica.com.
Okay.
And it's also at redsalve.com.
Redsalve.com. My consultation, I consult on redsalve.com. That's where.
That's REDSAV, folks. REDSAV.com or Herbs of Africa. HERBSOF africa.com.
Now, I know these are available in the US. Can we also
Yes.
get this in Canada?
It is available in the US. I have no present distributors in Canada, but you're welcome to be.
Okay, well, trust me.
We'll take you up on that.
So,
we'll take you up on
folks,
that.
we're not making any money yet, but we will start to make some money with Innocent in Canada.
Yeah.
First of all, we're going to have to get a hookup. I want to try that. So my question was, is it something you take pre-cancer diagnosis as a prevention?
No, Renner?
Or, yeah.
No, he said that was a preemptive strike.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you
It's
take
a preventive.
to prevent.
It's a preventive. But for someone that is gone into remission, that is that product could help, but that's not even it.
Okay.
There's special treatment for that to take out the cancer stem cells. And it depends on what type of cancer the person was exposed to and at what stage it was diagnosed and all of that. It needs a detailed study. The number of tests that I demand from people like that, analyze before I treat that. That's how I handle that.
Okay.
You mean the RENAC? You're talking?
No, I'm talking of the RECNAC is preventive. Anybody can take it.
Anybody can take that.
Yeah, anybody at all. I take that myself. Okay. But for someone that have passed through cancer and is afraid that it could come back, because what really brings it back is the cancer stem cells.
Yes.
Now, there is a way we treat that, and it's different from treating normal cancer because stem cells are undistinguished cells. Right. They can become anything. So the cancer can appear in the brain, appear anywhere else because the stem cells can become anywhere, can go anywhere rather. So there's a way we treat that, which is different. But you can't put that in just one capsule. It doesn't work like that.
Okay.
And that is saying that is the reason why removing the breast is basically a waste of time, because if the stem cells are not dead, it's going to come back somewhere else.
Yes.
Right.
And I have seen that myself, where a lady had her breast removed. She was declared cancer-free. Within 5 years, the thing came in her brain and spinal cord, and it didn't take 3-4 months, she was gone.
Yeah, the metastasis.
And she was just 35.
Okay, so listen, we haven't talked anything about estrogen.
Yeah,
we haven't talked
so
about
much.
The other things to do to prevent cancer. We haven't got into the real treatments that you have, that we know you have, into some details. I want to ask you things about the teas we drink. You know, I'm Jamaican, so we know some of the herbal
teas and stuff like that. There's a whole lot of stuff we need to talk about.
I want to ask you about alcohol. Should I really give up my wine just to not get cancer? So we have not scratched the surface. So you have agreed to come back. We'll just set up a date.
No, not a problem. Always my pleasure.
This has to go beyond 1 hour, beyond a 1 week. So there's a lot of stuff that we need to talk.
Thank you so much. I'll let Frederick do the thank you.
Yeah, but before I do the thank you, I just want our audience to know that there is a North American number that you can reach Innocent, and that is 346-308-0686. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's a U.S. number. Correct?
Yeah, that's a U.S. number, 346-308-0686, folks. Also, you can email Innocent at innocent, that's the word innocent.aki@gmail.com. innocent.aki@gmail.com.
Innocent, before we let you go, I know, what's your African name? What does Innocent mean? I know in Nigeria, my name is Amarachi. Yeah. When I went to Nigeria, I got my African Amarachi.
That means devil. It means devil.
No, it means jealous. He's jealous he doesn't have it, right? He didn't go to Nigeria. He doesn't have his Nigerian name. So what is Innocent in Nigerian?
I have my native name. It's not Innocent, it's Akeraino, which means they've been given.
Okay.
My parents wanted a son and they got a son, so they said, oh, we've been given.
Oh, I think I'm a gift of God or something. I'm a ratchet, right? But anyway,
Well, folks, I can hear the music in the background, but this has been a wonderful conversation. We have to have you back, Innocent. There's no doubt about that. And so I want to thank you for gracing us with your expertise, your knowledge, and we're going to get you back as soon as possible. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of the evening where you are. And with that, folks, we're going to end our show today by saying our usual code: good health is central to human happiness and well-being. It contributes significantly to prosperity and wealth and even economic progress. And as healthy individuals, we can even be more productive and may even live a little bit longer. So until next Sunday, same time, same place, we are the Coxes saying, let's stay healthy on Reality Radio 101. Good evening.
Great.
Thank you for listening to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts, Fred and Janet Cox, right here on Reality Radio 101.